Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to talk briefly about what is called the Trump slump in the gun biz. So if you are a fan of firearms and firearm industry, if you're a fan of the periodicals that come out around that industry and a fan of statistics, I study statistics daily because I think it's interesting to see what trends are moving and where they're going. You can take a look at the last 15 to 20 years, going back to 2010, and I'll use this as the thumbnail for the video. I myself have been in the gun industry a couple of times. I've worked as a CFO, I've worked as a manufacturing lead, I've worked as a consultant across a few different businesses in the firearms industry. And I was speaking to a potential client this week, and as we were talking, I said, maybe Barack Obama was a huge patriot. And so he kind of looked at me because, guys, a lot of conservatives look at Barack Obama as he was terrible and he was evil, but he wasn't. I mean, he was just a man. He did what he could with what he had. He did, however, spend more money than all the presidents before him combined, which is insane. But one of the things that Obama did was, in his tenure as president, gun sales skyrocketed. And gun stores expanded and they grew, and they thought, wow, it's the land of milk and honey now. This is time to get after it, right? And so those businesses that expanded so greatly over that period of time have seen quite a slump in 2021 through 2024. It started coming down. So if you look at the number of millions of guns, how many guns were sold in 2024? 16,171,072. And that wasn't all me, right? That's for the whole country. But when you look at that number, it's still a massive number, but it's down from 23.5 million back in 2020. And from 2020, it dropped down to 20 million roughly in 21, down to about 18 in 22, down to about 16 in 23, and now in 24, it stayed flat there around 16 and some change. But the reason I'm saying this is if you're in the gun industry, and this year Anderson Manufacturing closed their doors. And if you're not familiar with firearms, Anderson Manufacturing makes ARs and AR pistols. So black guns that people think are evil. But they were a budget company. So you could get their firearms for fairly cheap. And you could get their lowers. They're just simple incomplete lowers, just a raw lower for very cheap. And I've built a couple of guns on their lowers, and actually have picked up several since, not lowers, but actually Anderson Manufacturing weapons. One of my favorite guns is an Anderson Manufacturing pistol. And so I say this because that company went out of business this year. A small gun company called Sky went out of business this year. What people don't know about the firearm industry is, most of the companies that you're aware of only hold a small fraction of 1 or 2% of the overall market. So the majority of that market is by the big government firms, the big firms that have taken on government contracts. You know the names: Barrett, Colt, and Sig Sauer has been a big one in recent years. But the reason I mention this is if you're in the gun industry, now's not the time to expand or plan on doing something that's not looking at a conservative pinching penny mindset. And this is why I'll say that is right now Trump's in office, so you can expect the Trump slump to continue through the end of his office term, because you know that he's a conservative thinking person. The people that are running the majority of the government now are conservative thinking people, which means they're going to get out of the way of our Second Amendment rights. And so remember, the government doesn't give power to the people. The people give power to the government. So the Constitution is the law of the land. So the laws in Texas should be the laws everywhere. Okay? So I won't get into that any further than that, but I'll say this. If, with the way things are going currently, if Vance is the next president, and then he's elected to 2 terms, that means when Trump is done, there's another 8 years of the same conservative principles. If that's the case, this Trump slump may continue for a decade. So you may see this same situation go all the way out to nearly 2034. And so if you're in the gun industry, now's the time to batten down the hatches and circle the wagons, right? and not go into more expensive things. If you're going to do something, look to minimize your waste stream and to have your waste stream create some profitability. What that means is stuff that you're not using to the fulfillment, or you're not selling it for a price of scrap or whatever it may be, that you may want to invest in some options to do that, because that might actually get you through the next decade. And if you're not doing that, I fear that we're going to see a lot more companies go the way of the ghost, just like what we've seen this year. And I mentioned Anderson Manufacturing because that's one a lot of people were familiar with. There was also one that was called Sky Firearms, SCCY. They made little 9mm pistols and made them in all different colors. They went out of business like right after the year got going. But Anderson Manufacturing caught me because I've actually bought and used their products, and they have pretty good quality stuff. So just a little thing to talk about for the gun industry, a little bit of financial, and I'm not your CFO, and I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not your consultant. If you need me to be, you can contact me with the methods that are in the details on the post. But overall, it may be something that we see happening for the next decade, especially if Vance is elected president after President Trump. So the Trump slump. How many guns were sold in 2024? This will be the thumbnail so you can see that when you look at the video. Hope you like this. Hope you like subject matter such as this. And I will be posting more things like this from time to time. This is the stuff that interests me, so I'm happy to share it with you. If you like stuff, please like this. Please like, please subscribe, and please share. I'm Ben. Be good.